Yep. So preparatory cues. There's a real weird thing in firearms where, uh, well, it's not weird. It's a bias that exists,
You can say we're
and it,
weird, Brian. It's okay.
well, yeah, but it's because some of the training is still in the infancy. It's only what
Mm.
4 or 5 decades old,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very short term for a learning progression, and then a lot of it was in mystery and it wasn't available. So it's still it's trying to work its way forward, but it doesn't know. So it has a lot of cognitive dissonance, and what that means is you can believe something to be absolutely true but not follow it. So you can know that if you smoke every day that you're going to die from it, but then you'll cite how many people haven't died from it and how your uncle
Mm-hmm.
lasted forever. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
dissonance that happens. So what we say is you got to be prepared, you got to have mindset, you need to be present, but then we don't train people to do that when they come to line. And we know that this happens physically and psychologically, not technically. And that's why the more technical training you get, it doesn't solve all your problems because you know how to do the thing. That's not the problem. What you have to do is prepare yourself for the when and the whys and get all that stuff worked out with your system. So these are 7 cues that I teach in class. You've heard these, but we're going to step up to the line. We're going to be ready always. There are no more cold drills unless you don't practice. There's my dig for the day. All right. Because recency is 72 hours. So if you practice in the last 2 hours, it's a recent skill. It hasn't gone away. It takes about 3 weeks to get, 5 to 10% atrophy. It takes 3 months, you'll drop down to 80% base level. If you don't practice after that, you'll probably end up with the ability to do it at 60 or 70%. Those are rough numbers. So recency matters. So there's no cold drills anymore. There's no anything other than being ready all the time, which is a great way to live, which is back to mindful. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready to take action, there's nothing to hold me back. I came to do the thing I want to do. Why don't I do it? You came to a shooting class, always be ready when you step up to the line. But a lot of people try to control the readiness factor because they're procrastinators. So they want accuracy. So they're going to take more time. They're going to ask more questions. They're going to take notes and not actually hear what I say. They're not going to be present on the 3 repetitions of what the drill is. Then they're going to ask how the drill works. Then they're going to say, are we going to shoot it now? Because they're not bad people. They're living in that accuracy mode and they're not ready. And
Mm-hmm.
then the super impatient person doesn't know what we're going to do. They're going to step up to the line and they're going to wing it. They're going to whip the gun out, hope it all works out, and be surprised that the results were suboptimal. So being ready is being present and know that you're always going to go first. It's the opposite of military and law enforcement. This, you have to always volunteer to be first because you chose this. This is your goal. You came here for a reason. Once you do that, you have to visualize what you're about to do, and it has to be behind your eyes. You have to be seeing the dot or the front sight drop in, and then you have to add a kinesthetic visualization, which is either breath or grip, which is one of the two things that people don't do. So if you don't exhale, you have to visualize exhaling. This is in the inner game of tennis. There's weird visualization exercises inside of it. Uh, they would teach on the tennis stroke for people to hum because it taught them
Oh.
to breathe. It's
Mm-hmm.
counterintuitive. So I do it on draw strokes sometimes. I make people hum if they're holding their breath. But
Mm-hmm.
your visualization should be breath or grip. What does the grip feel like? Or what am I about to do? So I'm going to keep my lungs moving. If the lungs move, the mind moves, and then we really do a good job. The freeze is simply this: you've decided you can't decide, so you're going to hold your breath. If you want to get moving, take a breath. We'll get back to that in just a second. You have to quiet the vision. The visual uh, input of nervousness is the eyes scanning rapidly all over the environment. It's called a saccade. Uh, it shows a lot of over arousal for the task, and you don't know what's important. So we have to settle the eyes to the center of the target, but you don't want to stare at it. You want to open up your vision.
Mm-hmm.
In order to know where you are in the universe, you have to open up your vision and not look through the foveal cone, which is detailed vision. It's like staring at your thumbnail, and that's part of the problem that we're having with shooting is uh, the iron sights were rudimentary at best, and we know we're going to look at the target, but we're trying to front sight focus and we're trying to prioritize it. But we have to be able to see the environment more than anything. Driving is the perfect example. Try to drive home and look at a rain spot on your windshield and see how that works out. Or look down the road and then try to peripheral see the front of your hood in there. That's the vision of being quieted. And as defenders, we know to look at the hands, but look at the entirety of the target from top to bottom. Musashi talked about this, the soft gaze, to look through and beyond your target so that you can see everything in its totality. Once you've done that, you got to recognize you're going to struggle like hell. This is what nobody talks about. We all struggle.
Mhm.
I've been on the road for 2 weeks. I haven't given any demos, and I stepped up to the line, and a glorious thing happened. I felt the struggle. I was excited because that's what I do this for, you know. And I had to do all these things and once again and let myself. But I didn't try to stop the struggle. I didn't quiet the voices. I just recognized them for what they are. They are simply echoes in my mind. They are not me.
Yeah.
That voice that talks to you is not you. Your actions, your habits, they perform character. Character performs the tone of your life for the rest of your life. So that voice that talks to you, the less emphasis I give it and the more I let it go, the less power it has over me. So
Mhm.
instead of silencing everything, I just let go of it. I program myself. I'm good to go. I trust. Now I'll just get ready to do it. And after that, you just exhale out. You accept the programming, you exhale out, and then you can't wait to execute because you came to shoot. Shooting's fun. Shooting is good. And then immediately afterwards, you ask yourself, did I see and feel anything? Because what I find is people are not present in that moment. And this is how we get the feedback loop. All right. Was I able to see my sights? If you can't see every target in its clear vision with a dot or a front sight in it, you weren't present. And what I found in shot calling drills is that people tend to say now, and as soon as they say now, they stop recording. And then they wait until it comes back so they can realign it. And then they say now again. So I got to be present for it, you know,
Mhm.
and that's the replay. And when I say presence, I get people to practice this over and over so that they can do it. And it sounds really timely and long, but it's this: you get better and better at it, and then it can be done in a second. And this becomes your walkthrough. And if I'm walking down the street and three guys take notice of me and start to do it, the walkthrough's already started. Uh, a good example of this is the outlaw Josie Wales with the guys on the porch. I don't know if any of you watched the movie. It's an awesome movie, but he totally details why he made the decisions in his walkthrough before he went, you know. And then the one thing he could control, he released to somebody else to control. So that's what the trust is in this. And I think when we talk about presence, it's a very deep subject. And
Yeah.
martial artists have been studying this forever. Whether we're fighting with swords or sticks or with hands or choking each other, uh, it is the hardest thing in the world to wait for a fight and then have to step forward and be present for it. And when we say it's won or lost in a locker room, we don't mean there's some advice or a great speech. What we mean is you modulate yourself effectively so that you can perform well under pressure.